Okay, so you want to own a shopping mall. Not a mall business, not a mall brand. The actual building, the parking lot, the food court, the 200 acres of concrete that used to hold your entire childhood. Because right now, across the United States, that's exactly what a small group of investors are quietly buying. And some of them are turning dying malls into some of the most profitable real estate in the country. Not by selling clothes, by selling something else entirely. Here's where the story usually starts, and where most people get it wrong immediately. Buying the mall is the easy part. A mid-sized regional mall can trade anywhere from a few $1,000,000, if it's mostly vacant, to well over $50 million if it still has strong anchor tenants and steady traffic. The price depends almost entirely on occupancy and location, not square footage. A half-empty mall in a shrinking town can sell for less than a decent house. A mall next to a growing highway interchange can sell for the price of a small hospital.
But the day you sign the papers, the real cost begins. Property taxes alone can run into 6 figures a year because you're taxed on the value of the land and building, not on how many stores are actually open inside it. Insurance for a structure that size, covering fire, structural risk, and liability for thousands of daily visitors, adds another significant chunk. Then come the machines nobody thinks about. A single industrial HVAC unit can cost tens of thousands of dollars to replace. Roofing, elevators, parking lot resurfacing, 24-hour security. Whether the mall is full or half empty, most of these costs don't change. That's the trap that catches new owners. You inherit fixed costs on day one, and it can take years to build income that matches them. So how does a mall actually make money? For decades, the model was simple. Anchor stores like Sears or JCPenney paid very low rent, sometimes almost none, because they pulled in the foot traffic that made everyone else's rent worth paying. The real profit came from the smaller shops squeezed in between them, paying annual rents that could run from roughly $30 to over $100 per square foot, depending on location inside the mall and the strength of that particular market. That model worked beautifully until online shopping quietly pulled the foot traffic away. Anchor after anchor closed, and the entire structure that malls were built on started to crack.
This is where the smart operators changed the game, and where the story gets interesting. Take Randall Park Mall in Ohio. Once one of the largest malls in the country, it closed its doors in 2009 as shoppers and anchor stores disappeared. The land could have sat empty for a decade, the way hundreds of other dead malls have. Instead, the site was redeveloped and became home to a massive Amazon fulfillment center, employing over 1,000 people. The mall's biggest asset was never really the stores. It was the land itself. Highway access, huge parking capacity, and a footprint big enough for a company that didn't need to sell anything to shoppers walking through a door. It needed space to move packages fast. That single idea, that a mall's value comes from its land and infrastructure, not its stores, is what separates the owners who survive from the ones who don't. Some malls now lease anchor spaces to logistics companies, medical clinics, or even local colleges needing extra classroom space. It's usually not glamorous. It's steady, contracted income that doesn't depend on whether shoppers still like browsing racks of clothes.
On top of that, there's smaller income most people never think about. Cell carriers pay to place equipment on mall rooftops. Billboard companies pay for highway-facing signage. Event companies pay to rent empty parking lots for concerts or car shows. None of these alone will save a struggling mall, but together they can be the difference between an owner covering fixed costs or falling behind on them month after month. And falling behind happens more often than people assume. One of the biggest risks in mall ownership is a legal detail buried in most leases, called a co-tenancy clause. If a major anchor store closes, this clause can allow other tenants to pay reduced rent or leave entirely, sometimes almost overnight. Lose one anchor, and you can lose a meaningful share of your income within months, even while your tax bill stays exactly the same. Some malls have gotten so distressed that they sold for symbolic prices, in a few documented cases for close to nothing, only for the buyer to discover the real cost wasn't the purchase price. It was the unpaid taxes, the demolition liabilities, and the debt still attached to the land.
That's the part the headlines usually skip. Buying a dead mall cheap isn't the win. Knowing what that land can become next is. So, does owning a mall still make sense in an age when nobody wants to shop in one? The honest answer is that shopping was never really the asset. The land, the location, and the infrastructure underneath it always were. The owners thriving today aren't retail experts holding on to a dying idea. They're real estate strategists who understood earlier than everyone else that a mall doesn't have to sell anything at all to still be worth millions. It just has to be standing in the right place.